Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading 3 of my anticipated books. So this year I'm really trying to stay on top of my anticipated releases as they come out because the last 2 years I just, for some reason that I can't really explain, because obviously I'm excited for these books, they are my anticipated releases, but for some reason I just procrastinate reading them, and then I leave a bunch of the books to the end of the year, and I have to rush to read them all, and I didn't want to do this year, so I'm trying to read them as they come out. So I have already done a video like this before where I read my first 3 anticipated books that have been released this year, and so in this video I'm gonna be reading 3 other books, the next 3 books that were released that I was very excited for. And obviously I had high expectations for these books. They were my anticipated releases. I was very excited to get into them. And this is spoiler free. I just talk about, the premise of the book and then my thoughts on it, but it is spoiler free. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I am almost halfway through A Dragon of Black Glass. I am 46% in. And this is the 3rd book in the Moonfall series, which is fantasy. And in the series, we start by following, in the 1st book, we start by following a girl called Nyx. And she foresees the end of the world. And basically, the world will end with the moon, falling onto the planet. And that is why the series is called Moonfall. And basically, after she foresees this end of the world, she is given a death sentence. So she has to run from where she lived. And she meets 3 other characters, a prince, a soldier, and a thief. And the 4 of them get together to try to prevent the end of the world. And what they need to do to save the world is to get the planet spinning again, because it had stopped spinning years ago, which created a lot of changes in the planet, obviously. And now the moon is gonna fall if they don't get the planet moving, rotating, spinning again. So that is their quest. And in the 1st book, the thief actually finds what it seems to at first be an artifact, but then they realize that the artifact actually is alive, and it's connected to things that happened in the past, but also to what will happen in the future. And in the 2nd book, we learn a lot about the prophecies that exist in this world, and also we see a lot more of the world, other places. And in this book, we are still following kind of 2 different separate plot lines, although they all have the same goal, which is to save the world. We are following we're in 2 different places basically. And the one where Nyx is, they are on their way to the Dragon of Black Glass. They have heard that it is there, and they're also going to a part of the planet that he's really, really incredibly hot, scorching hot. So the conditions aren't great, and they have a lot of enemies on a lot of sides, and they are running from a bunch of people, and they're also magical creatures, mystical creatures. And even like Nyx, she has like a connection to, I think they call it meerbats. And she calls like her bat, like her brother. And they have like a psychic connection, I guess. And yeah, I'm having fun. I'm really liking it. I don't think I'm liking it as much as the previous book though, but I'm still liking it. I'm still having fun. I'm still invested in both of these two plot lines that we're following, because like with the prince, we're following also like him dealing with his brother, because like he's the youngest prince, so like he's not, he wasn't the heir. And so we are also seeing him deal with his brother kind of. And yeah, I'm liking it. I'm having a good time. I'm not loving it as much as I love the previous book, but I'm still having, like I said, a good time. So I am going to finish it. And also, like, it's hard to talk about the third book in a fantasy series without spoiling what has happened before, but still like making some sense while I'm talking. So I don't think I can really say much more, but like I'm liking it, which is what matters the most. So I'm going to read the second half, I'm going to finish it, and I will be back. Okay, so I finished A Dragon of Black Glass, and in this book as a whole, we got to explore like a lot more of the world and learn about like other cultures that we hadn't encountered before, and also other animals, other creatures, and it was really, really fun to learn about all that. And also a sort of prophecy came true, like something that one of the characters had sort of foreseen, like it came true, and that was not a good sign, because like whenever that thing came true, like it meant something bad was about to happen, or like that they were not succeeding at something. And so that happened, and yeah, that's not good, like I said. And we obviously continue following the characters in their quest to save the world, and they did make some progress in like that whole quest, but I feel like they didn't make as much progress as they were expecting to, and as I was expecting to, and as they should probably, because the world is ending and they are not making as much progress to save it as they probably should. And they did like get a clue at the end of the book that will sort of like bring them back to where they started. So there's also that, like they did make some progress, but now they have to like go back to do some things back in the beginning. And the ending, like the other two books, was stressful. It was like action packed. I was stressed, especially because I do care about these characters. And yeah, it was very intense towards the end. And also like some forces came into power, which is also a bad thing because they are kind of like against our main characters. So that also happened. And yeah, I did like it. I did have a good time. I didn't like it as much as the previous book, and I don't know if it's because I was reading this book while I was reading slump, so maybe I wasn't enjoying it as much as I would otherwise. So yeah, I didn't love it as much as book 2, which I gave 4.5 stars to, but I still really, really liked it, and I still like I said, to learn more about this world, to see more places, see more people, see more creatures. It was really fun, and like I said, the ending was intense, insane, and action-packed, and I had a lot of fun still, and I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. And yeah, I'm very curious to see how it goes in the fourth and I think last book, because like I said, they still haven't made as much progress as I would have hoped. So they will have a lot to do in the final book, and I am stressed for them. And yeah, that is it for this book. Like I said, 4 stars probably. And yeah, now we're gonna move on into the next book, which is called The Fourth Consort, and it's a sci-fi book. And this one I am very excited about because honestly, I don't even remember what the synopsis is anymore, but I'm excited because this is from the author that wrote Mickey 7, which I really, really liked. I thought it was like a really cool story and with really cool characters, and like I was very interested in the plot, but it was also really funny. So yeah, I'm very excited to get into that one, and I think I'm like getting out of my reading slump, hopefully. So it should be fine. It should be okay. And yeah, I'm excited, and I will probably read half of that book and we'll be back to give my updates. Okay, so I am halfway through the fourth consort, and this is tilted. Okay, and we are following Dalton, and he is human, and he works for Unity, which is like a interplanetary organization that supposedly wants to just, bring together like a bunch of alien species from different planets, different systems to, all live in harmony, basically. And he, like Dalton, is with his colleague Nira in like a new planet that has like a species that the Unity wants to like bring into the fold. But there is another organization called the Assembly, and they say that they have like basically the same purpose of Unity, but Unity is like way shadier, like the people, at least like Dalton and Nira's boss, shadier. And Assembly seems to actually be, the nicer organization that actually wants to, help other species. And so Assembly also has someone that works to, like, for them, that, like, in that planet. And so we have Dalton and Nira for Unity, and we also have Breaker, who works for the Assembly, and he is like a whole other species of alien. And so they're all in that planet, and they're all trying to get like one of the native species of the planet to be like to choose them, basically. And after, things go wrong between the Assembly and Unity, like the people who stay like up in the spaceships orbiting the planet, after things go wrong with them, Dalton and Nira and Breaker are like stranded on the planet, and they have translators that help translate each other's languages, because they obviously all speak completely different languages. And like Dalton's translator isn't always like fully sure of words, and so it doesn't want to like actually translate anything if it doesn't have like a high degree of certainty of what the word means. But Dalton like says that he would rather know what he thinks it is rather than have no idea. And the translator's like, maybe a misinterpretation is worse than no interpretation at all, which like it has a point, but also no interpretation at all is also bad. So both options are bad. But yeah, they keep interacting with like the native species of that planet, and they get into like their community, and they learn about their how their society works, and they meet their leader, and it's really fun. And also we learn like the meaning of the title, which was very funny. And yeah, we are learning about the society, we are learning about the planet, we are learning about also other species in that planet. And there have already been like some really cool scenes, and I really like Dalton. I really like to follow him. And as I expected, this book is also very funny. At least like for my kind of humor, is very funny. And I really like the dynamic between Dalton and Breaker because they're obviously on opposite sides. They're sort of not really enemies, but sort of rivals, I would say. So it's really fun to see their interactions and their dynamic. And I mean, they kind of have to, in a way, work together, but also they each have their own goals. And also, like, the very last scene that I read, like, before the halfway point of the book, before I stopped, it was like a scene between the two of them. And I'm not entirely sure what it means, and neither is Dalton, because again, the translator isn't sure. So it could either be like something really nice and actually surprisingly cute, or it could be something bad and dangerous and concerning. So there's that. But yeah, I'm really, really liking it. I'm really liking, like I said, Dalton. I'm really liking his dynamic with Breaker, and I'm also really liking all of the little things that we have learned about the like native species, like their how their society works, and how Dalton is kind of like now fitting into the different roles that they have in the society, and how everything is kind of going wrong for him in a very funny way for me. So yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm having a really fun time, and yeah, I'm really connecting to the characters, like I said, and yeah, I'm having a blast. I'm having a great time. I don't think it's giving me like the 5-star feeling, but it's feeling like, you know, a 4.5. Like, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a really, really, really good time. So yeah, I'm gonna finish it and I will be back with my thoughts. Okay, so I finished the fourth consort and I loved it so much. And so in the second half, Dalton got like in so much trouble. He got in a lot of trouble and like many different sorts of trouble with many different individuals. And so we had to see how he dealt with all of that, how he got out of it, basically, like all of the things that he had to do, the beings that he had to fight, basically, and the deals that he had to make as well. And like, I was stressed. I was very worried. But at the same time, I was having like the best time because it continued to be so funny. And I also continued to love the development of Dalton and Breaker's dynamic, how their sort of friendship was like evolving. And at the end, I was still worried about like that possible miscommunication, misinterpretation that had happened in the first half of the book. Because like they continued to talk about the subject, but Dalton continued to not fully understand what was being said, so they continued to possibly have this misunderstanding like throughout the entire book. So I was worried, like I said. But before we get to how that was sort of resolved, I also continue to love to learn about the like society of the native species of that planet, but also about the Breaker society, because he would sometimes explain things about like his people, his planet, how they really work. And there were a bunch of really cool scenes, including fight scenes with like beings that move completely different to anything that like I know. So that was really fun to see as well. And the ending was so cute. It was so adorable. Like, I was not ready for that. I was not expecting it to go that way. Like, I was expecting things to end up okay, you know, like I was expecting it to be, you know, a happy ending. But like, I was not expecting it to be that adorable, that cute. And I actually got emotional, which I guess shows that I was even more connected to the characters than I thought. And like, I already thought that I really liked them. So yeah, like I absolutely love the ending. It was so perfect. And yeah, like I loved everything about this book. I had such a good time with it. I loved it so much. And in the end, it did give me the 5-star feelings. So I am giving it 5 stars. And so yeah, that is it for the second book in this video, the second anticipated release of this video. And we are now going into the third one and final one for this video, which is another sci-fi, and it's called Shroud. And I think that one is a bit longer, but like still not very long. So yeah, I'm gonna read half of that book and I will be back. Okay, so I am 52% into Shroud, and this is sci-fi, and it does say sci-fi and horror on Goodreads, and like from what I've experienced so far, it is like kind of creepy. And basically, we are following a team that is like on a mission on a like distant solar system, and they find Shroud, which is a moon, and it is like completely dark. Like the light of the sun doesn't get into the like to the surface of the moon, so they can't really see anything. Like they can see the surface, they can see like what's on it, but they are getting like signals, so like they know that there is something there. And then after things go wrong, two of the people from the team, we have Juna and May, they get like stranded on Shroud. And so now they have to basically survive in Shroud, which has like conditions that are not at all suitable for humans to survive in. And they also are learning more about Shroud now that they're, in there, and also the seemingly dominant species of that moon. And like I said, it's kind of creepy because, it's fully dark. They only have like their lanterns, but, if you're in a place that's pitch black, like no light can get through, just having a couple lanterns doesn't really do much. So it's pretty creepy that, it's so dark and they can't really see much. And we also get actually POVs from like that species that lives there, and they are also interested like in the humans. They're also like learning about the humans, and that is also pretty interesting, and like how they're kind of starting to interact with each other. And we also have like interludes at the end of each part, and it seems that it's like from the past, like explaining the life in Shroud, which is also pretty interesting. And yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking the characters and actually like the dynamic between the two characters that we're following. And also, like I said, the interactions that we've gotten between like the humans and the other species. And I'm also liking to learn about Shroud and the species and like how it is, like how that species works and like how they interact with each other and the humans, and like how Shroud is. And so yeah, I'm liking it. I'm having a good time. I'm intrigued to see where it goes, but I'm not, obsessed with it. It's not my favorite book that I've read from this author, but I'm still liking it. I'm still having a good time. Like I said, I'm intrigued. I'm interested to see where it goes. And it does have a creepy vibe, which I am really enjoying. So yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm liking it. And yeah, I am very interested to see like where it goes, because in the synopsis it talks about like if they're found like by the, not the rest of their team really, but like other people, other humans, they might not be really safe. So I'm interested to see like what will happen with that, and also like how their interactions with that native species will develop, because I'm sure they will interact way more in the second half of the book, and I'm interested to see if it's gonna go like in a good direction or in a bad direction. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm having a good time. I'm liking it. I'm just not, absolutely loving it. Like best thing I've ever read, but I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I'm gonna finish it and I will be back with my final thoughts on this book and also to wrap up this video. Okay, so I have finished Shroud, and I think like in general, I like the second half more than the first because there were more like interactions between our humans and the native species of Shroud. They were like starting to communicate, they were starting to sort of like understand each other in a way, and so I really like to see that. And then our characters, like our humans, they obviously like they wanted to be saved by other humans. You know, they didn't want to stay on Shroud, obviously, but they also were pretty sure that they would get maybe like in more trouble if they were actually saved by the humans. So there was also like they were stressed about that as well, and we saw how they were dealing with that. And then, like I said, I like the second half more because of like the interactions between the species, but the ending I felt like was a little bit rushed. I felt like it happened very abruptly because things were moving sort of, it wasn't very fast, like you were going slowly, like in a good way. And like I was enjoying it, but then the ending felt so, like I said, fast. So yeah, there's that. So I still did really enjoy the book. I still had a really good time, and it had like a very creepy vibe while we were in Shroud, so that was really fun as well. But the ending, like I said, felt a little bit too rushed for me. So yeah, I still enjoyed it, but it was not, like I think I already said, my favorite book from this author. But I still had a good time, and I'm giving it 4 stars. And so yeah, those were the 3 anticipated releases that I had for this video. And this was definitely very fun, especially because I really enjoyed all of the books. And so for the final ratings, the Dragon of Black Glass I gave 4 stars, the fourth consort I gave 5 stars, and Shroud I gave 4 stars as well. So yeah, very successful. And I mean, I had obviously high expectations for these books because they were my anticipated books. But I mean, you never know. But yeah, I definitely did enjoy them a lot. And I obviously want to continue doing more of these videos where I read my anticipated books. And hopefully they will all go as well as this one. And yeah, it was a great time. And this is everything for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you did, give it a like and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time. Bye!